And to do that, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Donna Evanson, even though I didn't have my name tag, and even though I have 3 of them sitting in my desk, and I should have written one, I guess. So I'm the top name on there. I work in the Business Technology Department. This is my, what year is this? I don't know. This is my 32nd year teaching here. And it's going to go just like that, and you'll be saying, did you notice that right when I snapped? Come on.
You want more lights? I just tried to.
That's all right. I need my spotlight though. And anyway, just like that, you are going to be saying the same thing. This is your 30th year, if you want it to be. Judy?
Let's make Ken do it.
Oh.
Oh, I was
Let's
just
go girl,
gonna.
boy, girl, boy.
Oh.
If our guests need to wear a sticker if they don't have a name tag.
Now you introduce yourself. Get back here.
Welcome. My name is Ken Cummers. Most of you probably got an email from me. It may even have typos. I was sprinting out the door at the end of summer, building a new house, living in a camper down by the train tracks. It's all true. But welcome. I'm in the business management department, so this is the building where I live. Usually about 10 or 12 hours a day most days, but not now. I'm building a house, doggone it.
Ken and I are co-chairs of the Faculty Development Committee this year. It's my
Yes.
first.
New.
He's been doing it all on his own, and now we're splitting up the joy.
Well, I never did it all on my own. There's always been a good team of people that are involved. But so to lower my commitment level though for nights and weekends, Donna is going to be a co-chair this year, so you'll be hearing from both of us a lot. But these folks who I'll let introduce themselves, they're also members of the Faculty Development Committee. Every department on campus is asked to have someone from their department serve on the committee, so you may join us sooner or later. But I guess we better just keep it moving.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
I'm Judy Throop, and I'm with the Interpreter Training Program over yonder in Building 16, so we train people to be interpreters for the deaf. I talk as fast with my hands as I do with my mouth. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And I have been on faculty development for 12 years. I started in as an adjunct. They asked for adjunct support. I was there. And I have taught here this is the beginning of my 17th year. So, my 17th year. So, happy to be here and happy you're all here. And on to John.
Hi, my name is John Whitmer. I am the astronomy instructor over the physical sciences department. And this is my 21st year here. I've been on this committee for 15 years, 16 years, long time. And I help run the mentoring program here, so you all be hooked up with mentors hopefully, if you're not already. So I'm the person to talk to about mentoring. And welcome. Happy to be here.
Okay, and then are we going to have them just talk amongst themselves with their candy bars? Not to your candy bar.
Yeah, don't talk to your candy bar. That's
Don't talk to your candy bar, we'll turn you in. So those that are, is there anybody who, you're the only person who has your candy?
I think I am.
You're the only person who has your candy? Okay, well, what do we have here? Do you have a candy?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, I have Twix too.
I have a Twix.
Okay, I'm not the only one.
Well, since there's not another chair over there, do you want to come and sit in this chair for just a minute? And then you guys that have the same candies are going to talk amongst yourselves for a little bit, and then you're going to introduce each other that are in your group, and you're going to tell us, should I write this down? I guess we could see your name, but in case you can't see across the room, name, department, and why the candy bar
is most like you.
Yeah, where you came from. Why candy is like you.
Ready, set, go.
Talk.
Anybody has almond joy?
So.
Are you the only
I saw your picture,
So, like intro.
I work with a lot of clients who are yeah, I like it. They love it. I like tax. No interest in that. I get it. I know a lot of people, a ton of I got my curriculum ready to
Yeah, they said we've already done I got it pretty quick when I said I can't sit up anymore. I'm sorry. Like I was gonna find the rest paper and spread it out.
Sure, I didn't want
Ready? Okay, let's come back together. And let's pick the group that has the most, looks like it's you guys, pretty close to the most. And then it follows by the M&Ms. All right, who wants to start? Introducing someone from your group regarding these items. Okay, great.
This is Tana.
Okay, this is Tana. She'll be working with the occupational therapy program. She has lots of experience in the field, about 5 years. She's a genius. She's from Dallas.
From Dallas?
Dallas, and she's worked at Sacred Heart. I work at Sacred Heart. She works at Sacred Heart. Yeah, and she chose the Snickers because it's a little nutty and a little sweet like her.
It's a classic.
Classic. Nice. I guess you're up next, Hannah.
Okay.
Wait, how long have you been in Spokane?
On about, 12 years.
Oh, okay. Great.
This is Brandon. He's a trumpet player, he plays some drums. He'll be teaching trumpet. That's fascinating. You're from Spokane?
I'm from the Tri-Cities.
Tri-Cities.
Tri-Cities. Not too far away.
Just likes Snickers.
Thank you. You are what you eat.
Very good. Well, we need to hear your snicker then. Okay, I'll do it. Part of the run, that was a good one.
Where's my drums? This is Derek. He's going to be working in the graphic design department.
Yep.
Yeah, he's an illustrator in town. He's from Portland. And you also eat Snickers,
They also eat Snickers, yeah.
so grab a Snickers.
Yeah, I also believe that it's a classic. I would like to be a classic, so. I eat Snickers to do that.
Very good.
Nice, good. Well, Renee is in your group, so it's up to you, Tana.
Oh, Derek.
Or Derek can introduce Renee. I don't know if they got a chance to talk.
Did we?
Oh.
You were, sorry, okay. This is Renee,
Pressure.
Renee's in the English.
Oh, I'm sorry, the English department, and, you didn't say what specifically class you were teaching, right? Or did you?
Oh, no, 101.
What, okay. And, Renee is in Snickers because she gets hangry and
Oh.
Oh, hangry.
High five on that.
so,
Very good.
All right, and where's Renee from?
Spokane, she's from Spokane.
Oh, all right.
Real close to the neighborhood. Excellent. All right, we're over to the M&M group, the peanut M&M group specifically.
You want to go first? Okay.
Ladies first.
Thank you. So this is Eric. He will be teaching mathematics. Most recently, he was in the Netherlands, and he's been back to Spokane now for a bit. He chose the peanut M&Ms because on the inside, he kind of has this steel core. On the outside, though, he has variety. He's
Oh.
not just a math guy, he's really into art and sculpting and languages.
I'll be learning Russian this fall.
Oh, nice. Nice. From classes here on campus or somewhere else?
It'll be at the Magnuson Building,
Oh.
but it's for the SCC Act 2.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Were you teaching in the Netherlands?
I was tutoring students. I was a missionary and also master students in logic.
All right. Okay.
This here is Scott.
I'm
He'll
not
be
standing up and doing all the.
He's taking care of that for you, M&M.
Yeah, you got it, you got it.
So he will be teaching anatomy and physiology. He has a background in physical therapy. And he loves the dissecting part.
Yeah.
And then also he, where he's from Ohio, but he's been here for 12 years. And why he chose the candy, it was really the path of least resistance or the path of the choice of least movement. He didn't have a candy. Lindsay sat down with her, M&Ms and said, oh, I better choose that so I can stay where I'm at.
Well, then maybe a break, Scott can lead us in a song of the thigh bones connected to.
There you go. This is Lindsay. She is in the School of Journalism, or the art school, but she's doing journalism. From Spokane, went to school here, not here, wait, here, yeah. And then Idaho, University of Idaho for a while, and now she's back. And she chose the candy because it was a candy that her dad liked for years, right?
So.
Are you most like your father?
Probably. He was a teacher.
So your story, your teacher originally wanted you to pick out some paint colors for the office.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
That's a funny story.
When I went to school here in '09, I think, and took a class from Jason Nix, the journalism instructor, and I helped him pick out paint colors for the classroom. And his favorite color is green, so we did like this neon green color for his office, which I now have to move into. And I think that the color that I chose for him would come back to bite me.
Funny.
All right, which group do you want to go with next?
Let's jump back over here to the
Variety
plain
pack.
M&Ms and the what, Twix?
We kind of misunderstood
digressed.
how long we were going to have to discuss, so.
I'll start though. This is Matt. He's teaching photography in the art department. He's from Tacoma, and he chose Twix because
That is exactly the right answer.
we both chose Twix for the same reason. We like to eat them.
Pretty much. There's no wrong answer when it comes to candies.
That's true.
It's like choosing favorite children, except that's easier.
Sometimes.
This is Jillian. Jillian is, okay, sorry. Giovanni is in communication, and that's really about all we learned from Giovanni.
We were talking about photography for a long time, and baby photography. So we digressed.
Okay.
So where are you from?
Essentially from Spokane. And I seem to be the only one who took M&Ms, and I thought they were maybe kind of a default candy, but it seems they're not so popular. But I picked them because they come in all different colors. I am colorblind, more or less myself, so I don't believe they taste any different, although they're all different colors. But I picked them because I don't know, because people say, oh, they're all different colors. They must be so fun. They're just kind of like chocolate.
And you're so fun.
Yeah, I'm so fun.
Good. Okay.
Now,
And Jillian is going to be doing accounting, I believe, and is a very logical person. Very drawn towards right? Very drawn towards logic and this sort of thing.
And in front of Spokane,
Yeah.
and we talked about why I like it.
good. All right, over to the Almond Joy group.
Sure. This is John. John is from a small town in the panhandle of Texas, but also near Dallas, right? Yes. He'll be teaching in the graphic design department. And you went here, correct? Yeah. Around the same time that we did that thing. John said that he was a little nutty inside, and that's why he chose Almond Joy. Yes, okay.
Okay, this is Matt. He's in the English department. He's from Seattle. He's in the English department. His emphasis is in creative writing, and he chose the candy because he wanted to eat it.
To eat it.
Right, so this is Brent. Brent is in philosophy. He is coming from Southern Oregon. And he picked the Almond Joy because he does not like cold weather, and so coconut reminds him of warmer times.
Winter is coming.
And this is Eddie, and he's in the foreign languages department, in French specifically. And we debated where we're from actually for a while. That took up most of the time. And so he comes to us from Paris by way of Kentucky.
Oh.
And so, but he's originally, he went to SFCC, so he's back, so it's a grand homecoming for Eddie, so welcome back, Eddie. And the candy, he's sweet and a little nutty, so.
Alright, excellent, thank you.
Good job. And our last group are Reese's.
Okay, so this is Jamie, Lulu Pink, and she is in the art department. She is the instructional tech, and she's also an instructor, so she wears a lot of hats. She is from Spokane, and but don't let that fool you. She has traveled the world and lived in the Czech Republic for a decade and worked in the Czech Republic. And she's a sculptor and performance artist. Performance arts? Okay. Oh, and she chose the candy. Why did you choose the candy? I forgot to ask. Oh, yes, because it's hard on the outside and soft on the inside.
This is Randy, and she teaches English, and English as a second language. And she is from Spokane, and she's very sweet and very awesome. And she chose the Reese's because she hated peanut butter when she was a kid. Absolutely hated peanut butter, and so life is about change, and so she likes peanut butter now, and
I love peanut butter.
and loves peanut butter.
That's changed a lot.
And yesterday she was opening up a Reese's and it fell in the garbage can, and so today is her redemption day for Reese's.
You can take another one with you. Nobody should be without a Reese's.
So Jamie, do you do any chainsaw art? It's called.
I stay away from chainsaws, but I'll fix it for you if you need it.
Cut off 2 big pines at 12 foot tall near where the house is gonna be, thinking that later some chainsaw artist is going to make me some bears. I'll show you the video, but there is some cursing and stuff involved in it. It's a giant pine coming down and you're diving off a ladder and throwing a chainsaw in the third direction. But
I know a guy. I know a guy. So, I know a guy.
Excellent. Okay, so thank you for all those introductions. There will not be a quiz later, but I hope you remember. I hope I remember as well. We are going to have some follow-up meetings over the course of the quarter, so hopefully we will all get to know each other pretty well. We're going to move into the first week of the quarter. And so how many of you, I guess it didn't come out, I didn't have you answer this question. How many of you have been teaching before this? Okay.
In this environment or like?
Just teaching. Some. Okay, all right.
So probably 2/3
Yeah.
are
Okay.
with it and the other of you, good luck. Go get them, Tigers. You can do it. Also today, while we talk about this, that if by chance Dr. Feldman comes in, we will completely come to a screeching halt. Let him do his spiel for you of welcome, and then he will go about his business again. But he's in the middle of meetings, and so he thought if he got a break, he'd come over here real quick. He's our Vice President of Learning. So just know if he comes in, that was a planned event. So,
Because he was supposed to give you your welcome now on your agenda, but he popped in earlier and said, I'll be back later.
yeah. And that works with us as teachers, and especially as we have to be flexible. So that's what we're doing today. We're being flexible for him. And he's worked his way up and he can do what he wants. Here at SFCC, we have a population of students that is vast and varied. It's a little different than other, if you were in K through 12 or if you were at the university level. We have students who are running START. We have students who are coming back to us after having a career change. We have students who are coming back to us as adults who've never been to college before. We have your students who are supposed to be college age. And so we have military as well, and students with disability or needs that may require some alteration of your classes a bit. We have departments for the veterans, we have departments for the Disability Service Center, and they can help you if you have any questions with those things. And when we meet again periodically through the quarter, there'll be questions and you'll be able to see presenters from those departments that'll help. The main thing to remember is that when you get started with all these different varying populations, ask them a couple of questions that will help you sort it out, so then you can send them in the right direction, because different things happen, or each student has a different need. Before the first day of class, because that's coming up next Wednesday, and we're all supposed to be here Monday and Tuesday, except John. He's going out and about into the wilderness to deal with other beasts before he comes back to deal with our students. He's going to get a little R&R. You'll want to get some things ready as possible. So you've probably been working on that because you're ambitious and ready to go. Things like if you're going to learn to use an online learning platform, maybe you've been to the e-learning
How many of you went to the
workshop.
e-learning conference yet the
Workshops.
last couple of days?
Okay.
Anybody? Couple of you?
Okay. That gives you good information. If you haven't had a chance, we have e-learning staff that can help you when things go awry. They can be of assistance to you. Other things that you want to have ready are your syllabus. And one of the great things to remember is that use that as your jump off point, that if you have used, this is what I want to do. If you have it written down, that's your point of reference. If you don't have it written down, they'll find a way around it, usually. So have that syllabus ready to go. On that first day of class, of course, you want to introduce yourself. And you want to take roll right away because you might have students in the wrong place. And if you, at the point being new to campus or getting started again, don't know where to direct them to the administrative assistant, and they can send them on the right path so they can get to the class that they need. Because we have classes the first 3 days, and then after that third day we can have instructor-initiated drops. So you want to make sure that the students are in your class are supposed to be there, or that you're finding them to get them to where they're supposed to be. Does that make sense? So that they don't get dropped from a class. Last year in the interpreter training program, the student was in an ASL 1 class, and that worked out well. She happened to be in the wrong class. So she had a different instructor. So she ended up being dropped and couldn't understand why she was dropped. And then when the two instructors finally talked to each other, they went, oh, well, she's in my class. So we ran through the hoops and got her re-registered. So those kind of things do happen if there are multiple sections. So make sure you have the right people. If you don't have the right people, ask the other instructors who are there teaching to help you find them. Okay? We do kind of amazing things here at Spokane Falls with our student population. It's not just about teaching. We do a lot of helping them get around and find things. So when you're in the hallway, you're always, hello, how are you? Can I help you find? What do you need? That kind of moving them along and getting them in the right direction. Okay. On that first day of class, after you've introduced yourself and taken roll, then you'll also want to allow the students to introduce themselves. And there are a couple of different techniques that you can use to have the students introduce themselves. One of them is to simply just say, hi, my name is such and such. And the other one is to, like we did, mix you up that way. You could put a topic up that pertains to your class and ask them to talk about it, find a couple of keywords, and then be able to speak to that. And or maybe you don't start in with your class subject, you say, list 3 of your favorite things. Those are a couple of icebreakers that you can use. And that gets them started in the right direction and helps them find friends. We work really hard here at SFCC to make sure we have connections with students, and that connections also happen between student and student, so that we can serve as checking on them or making sure they're okay throughout the quarter. The first quarter for a new student is always really hard. If you remember back, you kind of looked around and swam around and hoped for the best, and we try to get them directed and focused as quick as we can.
Judy, can I jump in here for a second? If you don't know how to print your rosters, if you wanted to get a copy of that this afternoon after lunch, we're going to just down the hall have an IT person there, and we'll be there if you need any help as far as Canvas or getting into your rosters in C2C Link, or however, there are a couple of different ways you can get that. We'll help you to print those out as well.
I can add on to that, even far beyond that. If you just want some computer time, last year we ended up helping a lot of people set up their Outlook that weren't familiar with how you set up your signature. So there's your name, office number, phone number at the end. Do your calendar, so you can set up your calendar for the whole quarter, so you know how to do it repeating, so that it's every Monday through Thursday and 10 to 12, whatever it is. Because we really do try to use Outlook to schedule meetings, and you'll be getting meeting requests from us for sure, and probably from your department. And all administration uses the Outlook calendar. So anything you want help with this afternoon, it's just your time to ask anything, do whatever you want, or even if you don't want help but just want to print out stuff in the lab, whatever it is, please come back after lunch, right? That would be in the middle of the building, room 101.
The other thing about having a printed out roster on the first day is that I always will take phonetic notes of names that might be difficult to pronounce. If it's a name that's new to you, I always ask students if, their name is Richard, do you go by Richard or Rich or whatever? So I'll write down what their preference is. Jamie would have told us that she goes by Lou. And that way you can get off on a good, friendly footing right from the very beginning, instead of at the last day of the quarter finding out that they don't ever go by that name and you're the only person that's ever called them that in the last 20 years or something. So it's a good note-taking device to have a printed out roster as well.
And all of this that you've done on that first day is to set the stage for you for the rest of the quarter, keeping their interest peaked and keeping them on track and on target for learning what you want to teach them. Let me see, where am I going to go next? We move on to what's happening in the first week of school. After that first day, I mentioned to you briefly about the instructor-initiated drop, okay? Make sure that you have made or tried to make contact with those students that you don't have attending your class. Make sure you're trying to get a hold of them, because it could be that, especially if they have online classes, make sure they have a task or something to do so that you know they've checked in. On Canvas, they have and in the people category, you can go in and see your list of people, and then over there you can see how much time they have spent. Well, that works in the first couple of days, but it doesn't work after that, because they might not have turned off Canvas, and it might just potentially keep running. So pretty soon, within 3 days, they have already amassed 48 hours. And you're like, really, nobody spends that much time in your class on the first 2 days. So that's a good indicator that they've been there. If you look in people, you can see across, okay, they've been there. How much time they've spent, helpful somewhat, okay? But make sure you're checking with them.
They like you to have some kind of meaningful activity. It used to be that they would say, okay, if they came to class, they were participating, and you might get emails. Well, you will get an email that says instructor-initiated drop is now available, and it will go through the 5th day. And so
starts on the 3rd day, goes to the 5th.
Right. And they'll have a link in there to take you to the form to fill out for the withdrawal. Again, that's another good reason to have your roster handy, because they'll want to know what the class number is and all that good stuff, what the student's ID is, things like that. And they also ask that you have had them do some meaningful activity. It's not just checking that they read the syllabus or whatever. And so, and you will also get messages maybe from financial aid saying, has this person initiated? We need to know if we're gonna give them any money. Did they initiate something meaningful or not? And they'll want you to reply to them.
That's that part about at SFCC, we're actually doing a little bit more than just lecturing. We have accountability to financial aid, the students have accountability to financial aid, and
you get drawn into it.
Yeah, boy howdy do you get drawn into it. So the other thing that's new for us that might be problematic for students is about parking. Everybody that comes on campus has to have parking, and we'll get into more of that, but on another occasion, but this is in the immediate, so everybody has to have parking, and we have a new system called the New Park, N-U-P-A-R-K. If you haven't done that, you need to do that, and students are gonna go, what's this? How does that happen? I don't know, but they no longer have to go to cashiers to pay for parking. There's not gonna be that line for parking and amongst everything else that they have to do at cashiers. So
Is there anybody who has not done that yet?
We can help you with that this afternoon.
We can help you with it this afternoon,
Yeah.
and it's, if you pay now, it's automatic. So I just did it yesterday.
Yeah.
And so if you pay now with the credit card, it's automatic. If you want to use a salary automatic deduction, then you have to fill out a form and scan it to them, and then it takes them 24 hours to process it, so just know that. I don't know when they're gonna start ticketing people.
Can we interject? John ran over to get creamer, and I just got an important text that today is his, should I tell him? Why not? It's his big 5-1 birthday.
Oh, it
And
is?
if you don't have fun, you're gonna burn out, so try to remember that. Do have fun with your students, let them know you're human, but when he comes back, if you can signal folks, we'll give a big hearty happy birthday.
All right, we can do that.
Embarrass him a little.
We could sign it in Hawaiian. Do you want me to sign it in the Hawaiian version? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Yeah. On a bit of a side note, which should interest you into sign language, is that there are over 50 signs for birthday.
Really?
Yes. And Hawaiian birthday is birthday. It's so cute. We have to use it. So when we sing happy birthday in our group, we use the Hawaiian birthday.
What is the etymology of that?
Or the reason why? Because you get spanked on your birthday. When they became Americanized.
Bigger.
Yeah, no. Well, maybe. That could happen too.
Every year.
Yeah, a little bit bigger, a little bit more patty.
Sorry, before we move on, can I ask about the form, the payroll deduction form for that? Is that, can you get the link to that?
Yes, and we, I have it in my email, so I can forward it to you.
I would appreciate
And then, yeah, and then we can also, again, help you after lunch if you want to just get it right there and print it out.
Thank you.
You might answer, was it me?
No, go ahead.
But you might answer this later, so apologies, but the dropping students from classes, I assume like if they've only showed up like once or twice, we'll have a dialogue with them or attempt to. But we're only probably automatically dropping folks who like haven't showed up or
Right.
initiated at all after
Right.
5:15.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Like if they, some students decide when they're gonna start college, it's not usually the first day of college. Some will say, well, I'm on vacation, I'll be in next week. But if they should have sent you
Right.
information, yeah, they should have contacted.
And people have different philosophies on when they drop. So it's, you can drop them on days 3, 4, and 5. Some instructors say, I'm gonna drop them on day 3 because then they'll have 2 more days to find another class to fill their schedule. And some teachers say, well, I'll wait till the 5th day to give them a chance to pull it together. And so you might just share, you might decide on what your philosophy is and just share with them. If you know, on the 3rd day, you don't have to be mean about it, I'm gonna drop you. But you can just say, here are my rules. My procedure is I'll drop you on the 3rd day. if I haven't heard from you and you haven't made some meaningful progress, or I'll drop you on the 50. That way there are no surprises.
Okay, thanks.
Other things that happen in the first week after you've taken care of your introductions, your core syllabus and things are simply to start teaching. So you should have at least that first week, so you're not teaching scattered. You should have that ready to go. Don't know and be settled into your offices and have your keys and all that good stuff. So that's where I'm at.
You may get a lot of, you may get in students who say, I didn't get my money, so I can't buy a book, if you do require a book. So you'll want to know if your department, if you're using the same book your department does, you'll want to know, are there copies of it in the library that you can direct your students to? Is there an online version that they can use that might have a temporary access to it for a certain number of days? Does the publisher, like one book we use, the publisher says that we can photocopy, they give us a PDF of the first chapter and we can hand it out. So what are the options for those students who can't get their book yet?
And that kind of thing does happen.
Regularly.
Yeah. That's not a fluke, that's usually what happens. So,
yeah.
So the next item on the agenda is to talk about what's in your bags. If you haven't snooped there already, you will find that you have a faculty handbook that we're going to look at next. That's beneficial. You'll find lots of information in there, and we're going to go through it to help you find information. There's also a notebook there in case what we say is worthy of writing, note-taking. A pen. Of course, all of this is advertising SFCC. We have beautiful things that say SFCC on them. And there is a lanyard for your identification purposes, if you choose to have such, if you choose to wear it, or when you get your name tags from the administrative assistants, they're magnetic, of course, so however you want to do it. That's what's in there at this moment, and yet we have more new faculty orientation sessions coming up that we're going to schedule, and so you're going to add to your bags. And I'm going to tease you with it so you'll come back. I'm going to show you what's coming your way a little later. Dun, 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 dun. What's coming your way is a beautimous folder that has pictures of SFCC. So if you need to, you can give these out for Christmas presents to relatives. And it also has a nice directional map for you to find out where you need to go. Sometimes it's easier to say to students when you're helping them find someplace, let me step out the door and point you in the right direction, than it is to say go to such and such a building. Also, you're going to get
okay, Vanna.
Yeah, you're going to get yourself your very own car magnet. People like SFCC, so if this car magnet disappears off your car, at some point somebody else really wanted to advertise too. So there is that for you next time, or on one of these occasions. And I'm going to save the best for last, so we've got 2 more items in here. Dun, 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 dun. Because every instructor should take a cup of coffee or tea with them to class so that you can keep yourself refreshed and speak clearly, you get your own SFCC mug with this Sasquatch on the back.
What's that Sasquatch's name?
Sketch. Righto, righto. And then last but not least, because it's not just enough to have Mr. Sketch there, you get your very own. And these are collector's items, soon to be, because we've purchased all that they're ever going to make. But the fantastic part of this is, it's magnetic. So,
magnetic butt.
Yes, so you can plant him anywhere you want. But just know that this is a collector's item, even though it has the old Jane Fonda headband hairdo.
Which is why.
He's a cutie. So, those are coming your way, along with probably some other fantastic prizes as we decide to do drawing and things to keep you coming to the meetings.
Right?
And no, we're not
sorry.
giving away the bag. We're out of those, but we just teasing you with those. Whoopsie doodle, I'm bending it. We used to have these, but they're no longer. So, pros and cons of having a corporate bookstore now. Pros and cons.
Yeah.
So that's coming your way. You want to come to the next orientations that will be happening in afternoons. Okay, after we're supposed to be done teaching. And if you can't be there, we can try and get you the information, but you may not get your surprises.
Okay, so on the faculty handbook, Judy was pointing out that there was a campus map inside the little folder that you'll get next time. Also inside the back cover of your booklet, there is a map of the campus in case you need to find your way somewhere. We are going to have a little tour later, but or if you need to direct somebody to it. A lot of the classrooms will also have maps of campus, but I don't see one in here. So you might choose to print one and put it inside your classroom if you want to. And on the very back cover, you have the academic calendar for this year. And so you'll know what days you get off. No, sorry. And I wanted to show you how to get to the faculty development site where there is an electronic version of this. So when you're on the Spokane Falls homepage, up here, and I know you can't follow along, but maybe some of this will stick in your memory. So employee portal, and then when you go down here, you'll see that there is the SFCC net. We're all kind of learning this too, because they just redid all of this.
Last year in the middle of the quarter.
In the middle of spring quarter. Yeah. Okay. So once you get here, you're going to go to committees because it's the Faculty Development Committee. As Ken mentioned, we have lots of committee members. We like to have one from each department, a member from each department. And then we have faculty development here. And so then you can see all kinds of information here. This faculty development funds, guidelines and applications. So each of you do have access to funds for development purposes, okay? And I forget where we landed, is it $450?
I don't remember. Ken, do you remember how much we ended up with for full-time faculty?
$450.
Okay, so full-time faculty get $450 and adjuncts get $600.
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years. So if you want to attend a conference or you need to travel to somewhere to do something meaningful, you fill out the application, give your reasoning why this is meaningful to your development, and then you'll see the guidelines in there of what's allowable and what may not be allowable, okay? And then you also have access to these, it's not 1K funds anymore, it's 1.5K funds. And that's every 2 years as well, right?
And that's just for full-time. That's why we only award $450 to full-time, because if you're full-time, you also have access to the 1.5K. So in reality, you now have almost $2,000 every 2 years to pursue professional development.
Okay. And then, should I talk about teaching squares now? Or a little bit, introduce it?
If you would like, yeah, I would love to have them know about, well, yeah, because if they have the time to participate in it, the sooner the better.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it a little bit, just to introduce it?
Well, that sure shifted.
Since, you are the one who runs it.
I would like to volunteer you. That's the way it works around here, so talk first and you can pawn it up. Teaching squares is something we implemented, about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's each quarter I send out invites and get the folks that want to participate, and then we'll group you up. And you can pick your own group of people if you want to work with a specific group, but otherwise I try to find people that you don't work with and actually hold different departments. And you get together and have a meeting of when your schedules are. So that way each of you can visit each other's class one time during the quarter. And it's a completely non-evaluative deal. It's just an opportunity to actually watch how other instructors do their classes. And you only have them come to your class when you want. I mean, so it's not just some random show up. And so it only takes about maybe 5 hours of your time over the course of 11 weeks. And then at the end, you come back together again as a group and talk about what neat things you picked up, what things you liked about each other's classrooms. Again, no evaluation, nothing about what you didn't like, just about things that maybe you can incorporate into your classroom. And it gives you a great chance to meet people outside of your department, because often we get in our own little ruts here and we never see people outside of our own little working area, which is a sad thing, so. So hopefully somebody will choose to participate, and you get $125 at the end of the quarter for participating. So they'll do that, and it's everything we do through faculty development. We treat adjuncts and full-time people alike. So if it's any program we offer, it's offered to everybody.
And it's been very well received. The people that have done it have been so happy that they've done it. And, you know, one teacher might have a technique of doing something that never occurred to them. And so, yeah, and as Ken says, the friendships that you make, you have a face you recognize when you get to, everybody gets together at the faculty meetings or whatever. Okay, so that's on the faculty development page. And under here, under helpful faculty information, is the electronic version of what you have printed in front of you in the faculty handbook, okay? There's information in here on creating a syllabus, and as John said, there's a mentor program, so if you want to be hooked up with a mentor. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that would entail, John?
Sure.
I'm volunteering everybody.
There's really not much to it. The
Yeah.
department chairs are officially in charge of setting up the mentor, unless you have one you already want and know, and that's totally fine. But if by default you don't get assigned one, or you don't pick one, then the department chair will. And they basically just meet with you several times a quarter and go over details, how to access Canvas, how to do your grades, what happens if this happens. There's really not a formal process, just as much as you need to meet with them as often as you want.
Right. And it's just somebody to talk to that you, you know, if an issue comes up with a student that you're not quite sure how to handle, or another faculty member, or whatever.
Well, and how many of you are tenure track? Just one? Just one. All right. Well, and with tenure track, you'll have a whole committee of folks coming and viewing your classes every quarter for the next few years. And often, we don't feel comfortable asking people on our committee that's evaluative, because that is evaluative, about problems we're having, which certainly they're on your team, they want you to succeed. But the mentor is that person that you can go to with anything, everything, like, oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna choke this person, or they're gonna cause me to retire early, or whatever the case. Use them. I mean, we pay them. That's the thing we want you all to know. We pay your mentor for their time of helping you, so use them. And ask them the tough questions and get them to assist you, and hopefully somebody that will become your longtime friend throughout your years here and just come on.
And you have them for the entire year, and after that, or the academic year, and then after that, they become your friends as well as your colleagues and peer, and so you'll have them forever and ever. Yeah.
Perfect. Is there a question?
Are the mentors within your own department, or just someone assigned to you from the campus?
They're generally within your own department, just because they'll know more about what's going on through your life, but they don't have to.
Sorry, do you have a list of them by department? Is that how we
No, we
choose?
work with the department chairs. Or, because like I say, we do try to get someone in your department, and it's always somebody that volunteers to be a mentor. We don't want anybody tagged to be a mentor and not do a good job.
Okay, the other things that you'll find at this Faculty Development Committee site are, we have a newsletter that comes out each quarter, and so these are some past newsletters. So if you have anything that you want to announce that is coming up, or if you've been to a conference and you want to share the takeaways you got from it, or if you have a fun picture that you took in your class that Might be interesting, pretty much anything goes in there. We have an announcement section and an article section, okay? And one of the things that happens when you choose to access funds from the Faculty Development Committee is that you are gonna check a little box that says, I'm willing to either present at a brown bag, which we have several of each quarter where different faculty will present during a 45-minute lunch type of a thing, bring your own brown bag. And, or you're going to write a little summary article for the newsletter, or you're going to present to your department, something like that. So this is one of the options for you to present the information that you might have come across. Down here we have minutes from our meetings that we've had the last, I guess since 2014. I'm sure you'll want to read every one of those. And we also have a YouTube channel that we post videos of our brown bags. If you can't make it to a brown bag, you can go on to, right, Skylar? You can go on there and watch what was presented in case you have a conflict with time or just can't make it to it, okay? All right, so that's how you get to it. And then in the actual handbook, there it is, right there. Let's see. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure you've all looked at the mission before you were hired because they might have asked you that in your interview. On page 1, under core themes.
And that was part of your bag as well, is you have the mission statement and you have the core themes little posters. They're like those two in the back. Post those prominently if they're not in your classroom or in your office. Those are good reminders of what we do each and every day.
As faculty here, you are often asked to participate in some sort of committee or another that helps the college to function and do the work that needs to be done and to make improvements, things like that. One option for you to do is certainly to serve on the Faculty Development Committee. There are all kinds of committees, but one other area that is at the front of your handbook is the core themes. And each one of those themes has a committee that meets to further the theme that they're working on, okay? So if one of those speaks to you, that could be an option to think about. They probably won't jump on you your first quarter here, but later on, maybe nobody ever asks you to be on a committee, but if you wanted to volunteer, look good, then you could join one of those committees. You may come across in your email occasionally, we're looking for committee members for this committee, and it might be a SFCC committee, it might be a district committee, where they're looking for volunteers to serve, and they'll tell you whether it's a 1 year and how often they meet. Do they meet once a year, once a quarter, all that information. So if you see those things come across and one of them speaks to you, then do feel free to respond to that. Okay. So as you're going through the booklet, you can see that they have an organization chart for all kinds of things in there. And when we go to the convocation on, when is that, on Monday or Tuesday? Monday? Okay. So some of these people will be speaking and you might kind of get an idea if you want to see the chain of command of where your department is, you can look in there. They have, the Board of Trustees actually for the community colleges participates a lot. They come to a lot of the different things. So your chances of running across a board member, and they'll introduce themselves, but just so you know, they are very participatory, okay? And all of the academic departments are listed there and how to contact the person. They do have, the person, when I turned to open the page to the academic department's programs, the person that jumped out at me was Nancy Zacher. She's the administrative assistant in the physical education department. And they have a lot of classes. If you like to be active, they have a lot of classes that you can sign up for. And if you're a faculty person, they will, you have to pay half price. So for instance, I go to an 11-week exercise class, and it's twice a week for 75 minutes each time, and it costs me $30 to do that for the quarter. And you can also contact her to sign up for using the workout facilities in our new weight room and all of that stuff, okay? And I don't know, somebody had asked me about using the pool over at SCC. Is that an option? Yeah, so there's a pool over at SCC. We don't have one here. But if you're a swimmer, that's an option as well. Yes?
How much is it to use the gym facilities here?
I don't do that. Do you do that, John?
I do, but since they just built a new building, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know if they're gonna, it's not very much. It's like it was like $60 a year.
I think it was 80 when they closed the old gym and built.
Oh, okay.
Up to 80.
And then that gives you access to it year round.
That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. And then in addition to just using the facilities, like I said, they have other little classes you can sign up for. Okay. Okay. So that section 1 is basically just telling you who's who in the world of SFCC. Do we want to split everybody up for the other sections, or just?
Yes, is the short answer.
Okay.
One other thing that might be beneficial to you when you're getting this page and you start to begin to see that people on this page have other duties other than what are mentioned here, is to make a notation. Like, for example, Paula Bresnahan, the administrative assistant for Dr. Feldman, does a plethora of things. And so does Jan Carpenter, and so as the president's administrative assistant. So that's helpful, and then you'll learn, oh, I just have to turn to this page and I know what that person or that role does.
Yeah, make your notes on there, because they might direct you to another name of somebody who's not there.
Yeah. Okay, so we're splitting them up, okay? By candies?
Yes.
Okay. Good, we get to use the candy twice.
Although we have 1, 2, 3, 4, can I count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups.
6 groups, and if we start at page 9, go to 34, that makes us have a break.
I don't know if it's just me.
That is a
I
break.
guess other people might be ready for a break.
Yes, let's do a break and then come back and do it.
Okay.
Water fountains.
We'll have
Okay, so what we're gonna do is split these sections up by your candy bar group. So the peanut M&Ms, you're going to do section 2. And we're gonna skip section 3 for right now. And the Snickers, you're gonna do section 4, which is policies and procedures. You get the most interesting section. And Almond Joys, you're gonna be 5, academic resources and support. And Reese's, you're gonna do other resources. And the Twix M&M group, you're going to do 7 and 8. Okay, and what I mean by doing it is that we would like your group to just go through, you can break it up by sections amongst yourselves, but I just want you to go through as a new person to campus and pick out things that are, that strike you as interesting, that might be worth pointing out to other people. So we're gonna go around to each group and you're going to just say, in this section in here, you might want to take a look at this, okay?
About 5 to 7 minutes.
So it's just gonna give you a chance to get a quick overview of the whole book by everybody going through different sections and then giving a little summary of it, Okay? Does that make sense? Any questions?
I think it's supposed to look.
No, I like my share.
So.
Spread out. Slack.
You don't have to cover every single thing in your section, just pick out the things that you want to provide
Imagine that works, it's not much.
No, there's not. Or it's like 4 days. I thought that development funds section for that.
Talk a little bit about.
Dates and like just the practical information. Like, oh yeah, they're gonna want to.
I don't know if there's anything covered. We did the.
You're working on this then?
Oh, yeah.
Why don't we vote?
Yeah, I was
West Coast.
Has anybody looked up there, see the hours for their specific class?
It's on the East Coast, so they're married in October, so we just.
You're still with this.
Oh, you created.
How to make it like it's.
Yeah, I think SFCC like is like for us, and then they can't just asking them for all they do. Well, UCDC like covers all their financial stuff.
Person breaks that in. Pay stuff, paychecks to accessing your class. Great rosters. But that roster goes wrong.
You must teach at least 2%.
It's all first
There's a bunch of systems. We got about 8. Some of your powder just now.
Allow for a teach. My daughter actually starts here.
No, I don't think it's. No.
Really?
Yeah.
I know a guy that teaches graphic design.
That's why you're gonna say that it.
I had a licensing board.
Yeah.
Students going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The program.
That's what I
really good. The graphic design. That's better. What I had was
Here's really good. Yeah, it looks cool. It's just crazy how
No, I made it right now. Yes, for sure.
CRY or?
Yeah, okay, so if it's like stupid, you just
And I didn't know what it was. I thought I knew when I was in high school, I knew what I liked.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that it was a thing. I just knew that I liked letters and that kind of stuff.
Now I feel like there's so online.
It's a competition.
That's right, you can sell some young people do it. You know, there's a master's degree. I mean, yeah, it's very relevant.
Yeah, that's what
My name's
Maybe we just start with some training
That's exactly one way to see what
Okay, so it's really covered.
Bigger than your paragraph.
These very easy.
full-time, you're required to
See this line again?
Montega has a lot of features too.
Yeah, you'll have to look, I think it was because I think they started talking about
Okay, I'm trying to read the crowd. Is everybody about ready or do you need a few more minutes? My choice, you're ready.
No, not for the health, but for me, so the kid would probably have to computer.
When you're, I don't know if everybody's familiar with the bind function, but if you do your Control F, this little thing pops up. So when if you have this faculty handbook up electronically and you're looking for something specific such as parking, and it will then jump to each occurrence of where you can read about parking. If you want to know about something specific, then you can put that in there. And that works, if you're not familiar with it, that works on any web page or any document or any whatever, okay? Okay, so first section we're gonna do is section 2, and that was the peanut M&Ms.
All right.
What'd you find?
So, as faculty, we're required to provide students with a syllabus within the first week. If you cancel a class for some reason, you need to notify your department team. Part-time faculty is exempt from department meetings, but they mention you're welcome to go. And full-time faculty must serve on 2 committees, but part-time is exempt.
And you are exempt but not excluded. So if you choose to, you certainly can make, so. Okay. All right.
Okay, the second part, I just have 2 things. One is that there's mandatory reporting of suspected child abuse. So if you suspect child abuse, I'm assuming that from what I read is whether among your students or among faculty members or people on campus, then you are honor bound or required to make that, pass that information on. I didn't read how you do that, so you just should read that section. The other thing, there's a master contract. We refer to technically the master contract. Well, I had to contact HR about something. I said, well, the master contract expired in June. What about the new one? Do we have a new one? And they emailed, no, we have extended the old master contract 1 year by a memorandum. So even though it says here it expired on June 30th, you have another year.
You have another year. All right. Good to know. I didn't know that.
Mine was all about academic freedoms, which was kind of nice to see, because with anatomy and physiology, you know, it's kind of the, to be blunt, it's almost a weed out course. It's the first course they get, and so I'm looking at all the other teachers going, what do you want me to make sure is in the material? And I haven't really had any good feedback into that. It's been a lot of just, you know your stuff, do, you know. And so that's been good, because reading this, it talks about academic freedom, no special limitations on study, investigation of material, that sort of thing, but selecting our own textbooks that we think are vital for the students to have throughout the quarter for learning the material. And then the methods and materials, so we have this opportunity to kind of use what we know and personalize it and make it kind of our own with all of our different disciplines to, you know, teach the students.
Right, okay, good. And you know, speaking of textbooks, Judy kind of mentioned that we have a corporate bookstore now, so Barnes & Noble runs our bookstore as of maybe 2 years ago. And they've also, you might see coming across in emails, instruction or opportunities to use open education resource materials. So for some of you that teach in typical classes, you know, that aren't too specialized, there might be some open education resource things that come across that you would find helpful resources as well, or that you could direct your students to. Okay, thank you. Was that it for that one? Okay, thank you. Any questions on that section from those people who researched it so carefully? No? Okay. One thing that it talks about in there, and it'll probably talk about it again later, but the library selections, as I mentioned, if you have a textbook that you're choosing that hasn't been used by your department before, the library will purchase a copy. You can ask them, hey, I'm using this book, can you get a copy in there so I can direct my students to it as an option? And also the librarians are very, very, very willing to come and do presentations or help with research in your, help your students with research, help you with research, formatting of reports or presenting on a topic. And so do use them, okay? All right, the next section we're gonna skip 3 for now, and section 4 was the Snickers.
What do you have, teacher? We're still reading.
Oh.
Oh.
I can say one thing that I found interesting about this section. It was just like my experience with writing my syllabus, and I went to the department had to kind of go over it, and I got into the weeds with like course outcomes and technique and what we're learning and all this, stuff about what's gonna go on in the class. And I just showed it to them and they're like, this is great, but what's your name? What classroom are you in? What is your office number, email? It's just like all the practical stuff. So
Office
like,
hours,
I realized like, oh yeah, they probably wanna know that more than they care about like all this other stuff about the curriculum and all that. So it's great that this book has every little detail
that you should
that you should include in your syllabus. So.
Yeah, and as Judy was saying a little bit earlier, the more you include, and typically it would be very rare for you to develop a syllabus this quarter and use it again next quarter. You're gonna refine it, I should have said that, didn't need that, and same thing with a lot of your class materials. It's just a constant, even after 31 years, I am constantly revising things and, oh, this would be better, or that's a new thing I should include. And so it's always evolving, and so finding things like that. And the more you have spelled out in there, the more the student can't say, well, you didn't say that. So it's better to start maybe bigger and whittle. Okay, what else did that group find? Brandon?
I'm going to be going through, for myself anyway, copyright compliance, what constitutes fair use.
Okay.
I'm going to be teaching private trumpet lessons, and no one method book is going to suit every student that comes in. Some are more basic, some are more advanced. So I need to figure out, am I going to be able to require every trumpet student to buy a particular book for that quarter? Are they going to actually do it? Is it fair for me to photocopy a certain amount of a book to get them started while they look for a copy online or what have you?
Okay.
I had teachers in the past who made photocopies of various books, put them together, bound them, and sold them on campus. Don't know how legal that actually was.
Yeah, doesn't sound very,
But I don't know, it may have fallen under fair use. I think they were just charging for printing costs. So I don't know, I'll just have to come through that.
yeah, and that's something else that the librarians would probably be very helpful with as well. Is helping you to weed through that section. Okay, what else?
I found it confusing, and this helps clarify the difference between the CTC link and the campus.
Oh.
And how they're a little bit redundant in certain spaces, but that CTC link is, I'm seeing here also where we would print our class roster, which you're referring to, and that's helpful. And where you would ultimately enter your final grade.
Yes.
And that although the grades would be populated through the Canvas initially, correct?
That's true. If you use Canvas, so Canvas is the learning management system, and it will show up in your Canvas course whether you use it or not. And if you don't publish it, it won't show up in the student's Canvas account, okay? We have been encouraged, even if you're not an online class, to maintain a presence in Canvas because it's a good spot for the students to see their grades and to keep current on how they're doing in the class. So even if you just use it as a grade book and have each of your activities in there, even if you don't know ahead of time what the activity is, you can add it as you go. And the e-learning people would be very happy to help you with that. They're very helpful. And so you could meet with them, once a week or whatever if you wanted to, and add your assignments in there as you do them and you can weight them, so that way the student knows exactly what I'm getting, okay? And so there are no surprises. Yes?
I was saying, I was teaching last quarter, and then students said, would you please get on Canvas? Would you please get on Canvas? And I was like, no, I don't want to add something to my plate of stuff to do. Finally I did, and I found that it was very simple and easy to use and quick to learn. Basically took a half hour, and then I could upload my Excel grades automatically into it.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to use. It's not arcane.
You can import and export from there, and it's a good way to communicate with the students because there's a inbox in there where they can email you, and you can set up your notifications so that those emails will come directly to your email rather than having to go into Canvas. And so, yeah. And hopefully at one of the later sessions in the quarter, when it gets closer to grade time, we can do a demonstration of how you would enter grades. And they have a little, because they're kind of specific about, okay, are you entering the final grade, and now I gotta save it, and
It says here, save often. And the deadline is 2 to 3 days after the final exam date.
yes,
That's everywhere, that if you miss that deadline,
yes.
you know,
Well, they get on you because then the students, if they don't have a grade show up for them, then the next quarter their financial aid is compromised if they don't get a grade in a class. So they really are on you to get your grades in on time, and so that the students aren't put into a situation where their funding is cut off because they didn't earn a grade in a class. Okay, so that's important. Okay, and again, this afternoon, we'd be happy to help you get into Canvas to take a look at that, and there will be an e-learning guide there, so you could even set up a future appointment with him if today isn't enough to help you, okay? All right, what else in that section?
So I was looking at the add drop policies. And actually I have more of a question than an insight.
Okay.
On page 21,
okay,
it says that classes cannot be added after the 5th day of the quarter. And I wanted to know if that was from the student or the instructor's perspective.
Well, both, I guess. They used to say, and I needed to clarify this as well, because they've kind of gone back and forth on this policy. So John and Ken, what's your understanding of it? They used to say that you could add a student up until the 10th day of the quarter, but you had to get the signature of the vice president of learning. And then they said you didn't need the signature, and you absolutely can't add anybody after the 5th day.
That's where it's at now.
That's where it's at now.
It's kind of the drop dead date, and if you want to get somebody in after that, it takes a lot of signatures.
It takes a lot of signatures. So it is possible, and the reason they did that was part of our retention, our move toward really trying to retain the students, and they just found that those students who got into a class after the 5th day just weren't very successful.
And that is so true.
Yeah.
After 20 years of letting people in late, I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, because you really want to start off with the pace that the quarter is going to be at. You don't want to ease into it for 4 days and then all of a sudden, okay, now we're gonna buckle down, because the students will get lulled into oh, well, that class is easy, I don't need to go there. And then it just is not to their benefit, okay? And so you really want to just start out with the pace that you're going to maintain and the expectations that you're going to have, so that they get a real picture of what it's going to be like. Okay, any other things that you want to talk about in that section on, so section 4 on policies and procedures? In glancing through it, did the rest of you have any questions on those areas that you? Yes.
I had somebody reach out to me wanting to audit one of my classes. Is that like a one-day thing?
So, typically, is it 62? I think it's age 62. Well, one group who may want to audit. If you're 62 years or older and you live in the state of Washington, you can audit with the instructor's permission any course at any public university or college.
So could the person sit through every single day of my class?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
and so typically when you audit, you don't, so when somebody has audited my course, you don't have to, they're not required to turn in anything. They're not required to take tests. They're just there hearing the information. I have told mine, if you want to take your test, go for it, that's fine. But it's totally up to you as the instructor how how would that work, yeah.
So there's no level of like registration required, it's all.
You cannot add a audit out until the 3rd day. So it has to be between the 3rd and the 5th day if somebody's gonna audit. It's pretty rare that people audit, really. Have you guys had people audit?
I've had people ask, but my class is always full, so I can't ever let.
It's always full, yeah. So if you don't have, obviously, if you don't have the physical space, there aren't enough chairs, you just say, no, it's not gonna work. But they can't, you have to sign, they're not just gonna put them in there. You have to sign for it and approve it, and they don't let them do that until the 3rd day.
So there's like a form you fill out with the student information, the
Yes,
auditor
yes.
information and all that stuff.
And I don't know, I don't know if they just let anybody audit, any age, or I just know specifically the senior
Yes.
sections.
Because I had one last year, the first time ever from spring, and had some learning disabilities, so didn't want to take the course for credit. And DSS actually helped her get in, so I didn't even meet her until after the class started. I just sent them an email saying, sure, that's fine, and she turned in a lot of the homework, but they don't even have a spot to enter a grade on the grade roster, so they're not going to receive a grade, so they don't have to participate any more than they want to, but she was great, she just wanted to, so I encouraged her to participate.
It's rare though. It's not-
Yeah,
not a
it's
common-
pretty rare.
Once in 8 years.
Yes.
It happens all the time in the art department.
Oh, really? Oh,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
good to know.
Especially for ceramics, it's really popular.
Oh.
For-
With the older
Yes.
older population, or,
Yes,
huh,
because they wanna come and take a class and learn how to draw, or they always wanna do ceramics, or, paint or whatever, so there's actually quite a few that come through the art department.
okay,
But the thing is that if your class is full, then they can't
Right.
be audited.
Right.
So there has to be, somebody has to draw within that time frame, and so it gets kind of tricky, but we
Yeah.
make it work.
yeah, it is just a couple of day time frame where they can get into it, so. Okay, anything else in that section? Okay, let's move on to section 5, which was the almond joys.
I noticed on the website page, you can order stuff from the copy shop online, which might be helpful for people to know. I also, as someone in the English department who plans on hoping to work with research librarians, I was wondering if there's like a digital way to contact, like email or something for as opposed to calling this extension. I don't know if you guys have any more information.
Yeah, you can, when you're in email, do I have mine still open? Whoops, I don't. When you're in the email, you can do an advanced search for the library department and then it'll all pop up there. Do you have a better suggestion?
Each department is assigned a librarian, so there will be a librarian that goes specifically with your department, and they will do whatever level of help you want. They'll come in and talk to your class about their services, do a presentation, or they'll just meet with you about what you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so maybe ask who your assigned librarian is in your department. I didn't know that.
I also thought it was cool, you can consult with this guy, Rick Sewer, for multimedia instruction in your classroom. So, yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, he's, sometimes he gets booked up, so it might be a little longer than you want, but he does a great job.
I found from the IT section that if I have any issue with technology, I just have to take my phone and put down help, and I will find someone. I used it before and they were responsive.
Yeah.
So I will suggest people do that.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They have an online ticket request as well, but if you just call help, they'll generate the ticket for you. And they're pretty good at following up. They'll send you a follow-up email and say, is your issue now resolved? If not, reply. And So they're pretty good.
And as far as we already kind of discussed the e-learning here with Canvas, which is the learning management course. But I would encourage everyone to do Canvas as well. I taught here last quarter, that was my first quarter, and it's very intuitive. And a contact that they don't have listed here, I know they have some new faculty and staff in the e-learning department, but it's Ben Whitmore. Ben is very good with Canvas. He has an instructional background anyway, so he kind of understands it from both the student perspective and the instructor position with regard to Canvas. So he can get you up and running very quickly with that. So he's a really good resource.
Yeah, and you can start pretty basic in there and then build. Yes?
I have the number 7010, which is 533-7010, and that goes directly to our new fella in the neighborhood, Jerry Troop, T-R-O-U-P-E, Troop, and he is your Canvas support person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's our new guy.
If it comes
The
out
one
to
that you
you,
mentioned before is more e-learning, and then he knows a lot too.
So he does a lot. Oh, that's good.
Yes, they cover each other, but Jerry Troop is the.
They kind of divide the duties, and so he's gonna be the specialist. If you say, how do I change the weights on these grades, or how do I do this? He's more of the technical, supposed to be the technical.
It mentions Rick, that's multimedia, sorry, it doesn't mention anybody there specifically for Canvas, but 7010 will get you right there.
Yeah.
That's the one you use.
Yeah.
And that goes directly to Jerry?
Goes directly to Jerry.
The guy that left, Mark, he was retiring, and I called him, I said, Mark, what am I gonna do? And I said, am I your best customer? And he goes, I'd say one of the top 5. Because I'd say, hey, I wanna do this, how do I do this? And he'd either tell me right away or say, I don't know, I haven't done that before, and he'd look it up and then get back with me. He'd walk over and meet with me in my office or in the classroom. So they're very responsive.
Yeah, often if I call too often, I have to use an unidentifiable number, so Mark would answer. He's like, oh, you can't. So they're very nice people.
Yeah, and they like to see you learning it and using all of the functions in there, so. Yeah, like I said, you can just start out very basic. And the other thing, how many of you are teaching an online class? Anybody? Yeah, and they've been talking about different ways to engage your online students. And so it's very easy in there to make your announcements, and you can make a little panopto video even and say, hey, here's what we're covering this week. And just because having that base, even though you might have all the activities listed there, you giving them a little overview of what's coming keeps them engaged and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, what else in the Almond Joy section? Is that everybody that wanted to say anything?
SFCC's intranet faculty page has links to CTC Link and CTC Link in my own experience with it so far is very frustrating and confusing. So, but here you do have your what's it, the administrative assistant that will definitely help you work through the system and kind of figure the ins and outs, because like if you want to attend conferences and stuff like that, you have to fill out forms for that, and there's like specific steps to get to those places, but it's easier just to have somebody help you do it.
Tell you, send me the link.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is a little bit cumbersome, and you're just so happy that you weren't here when we initiated CTC Link a couple of years ago, because it was a nightmare. You may hear people talking about that for years to come. But anyway, under this student tools, this is a very quick way to get to both CTC Link and Canvas. If you just go to it doesn't seem intuitive to use the student tools as on the faculty end. But those are some quick links to get to either one of those so that you don't have to go poking around too far, okay? If you are at home, I don't know if you've all been doing this, but if you are at home and you want to get to your email, you can go here to your Office 365 and just log into your email from there, click on the Outlook. And so you can get to that from anywhere using that link, okay? Actually, here's a park, here's a link right here to the new park, that wasn't there before, so they have that new park parking permits right there you can use as well. Okay, this is the support center where you can go fill out a ticket, as I said, if you need IT help, but again, if you call them at help, 533 help, they will generate the ticket as well. Here are a lot of the forms, okay? These forms are more student-centered. If you want the employee forms, you have to go through the portal and go to SFCC, and then you get the forms. They have a list of forms there, grade change forms. One thing, and that reminds me as far as forms, you're gonna want to make sure that your students know whether you're someone who's going to give a incomplete. I don't know, do you guys see that right up front, no incompletes in this class?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to decide if that's something that you, and usually if you do give incompletes, people say you have to have 75% of the work done, or you have to have been current up to the point where the student has been in a wreck or something serious, and then if they haven't been current up to that point, then people will say no. So it's all individualized. You have the freedom to decide what you're going to do in that regard as well. The other thing you might run into as far as grades are Z grades, and sometimes different people on campus might say, go ask the instructor for a Z grade. So you have to decide if that's something, and a Z is an instructor withdrawal. And so the Z doesn't count on their transcript as a 0. It's that they didn't take the class, basically. Okay, it doesn't count against them, it doesn't factor into their GPA. So again, you're gonna have to kind of have an idea in your head about what constitutes a Z in your mind. And it's okay to say no.
It does count against them on financial aid.
Oh, yes, it does. It does. So you need to make sure that they understand that, because sometimes they think, oh, this is the easy way, I can just do this and get a Z. Okay, well, I will, but financial aid is gonna count that as not making progress. So,
I think the only one that doesn't count against them is a medical withdrawal, and there's quite a process. It's not an easy, quick fix if it's a medical withdrawal.
and on a medical withdrawal, they have to withdraw from every class. They can't just withdraw from your class because they got behind in it. It has to be every class, okay? And it still does count again. It still does count against them, but they can petition to get back in.
So it stops their financial aid, it stops everything that they can petition.
Right. Okay, so those are just some other grading things you might run into. Anything else you can think of in grading, you guys, that?
Could I go back to early alert for just a second?
Oh, sure.
That early alert system is very beneficial for you as an instructor and for the students. It's not just I'm telling on you that you're not telling on the student. It's a CYA mechanism as well. If you're starting to notice some behavior that isn't conducive to your classroom, or you're not getting through to the student, you've spoken with your other faculty members, is this kind of an unusual behavior? You can, they'll say yes, go ahead and put it on an early alert, and then that committee meets regarding that student's issue within 24 hours, and they get things started. And sometimes it's about the student being homeless, where they started out in classes and everything was great and they had a home, and then all of a sudden things have just gone to pieces. So if you get that documentation in place, they can get them to counselors, they can get them the help that they need.
Get them to the resources.
So it's a good thing, the early alert system is a good thing. And just keep your documentation, because things happen and students end up having odd behaviors or situations that you can help them, they don't realize there are resources for.
Right. Okay, so any other questions on section 5?
Can I mention something that really helped me?
Yeah.
So I started in the winter quarter and I'm teaching math, and a lot of times I would finish writing my lecture notes the morning of but I needed handouts, so I was married to the photocopy machine in the department.
Oh.
But then I ended up trusting the copy center, and if you get it to them the day before, they will get you your photocopies the next morning. They're wonderful,
Yes.
they're super women and super men over there.
Yes, they are. And they will deliver it right to your mailroom. And if you want it earlier, you can go over there and pick it up as soon as they open. And we can show you how to make copies during the afternoon session, how to request copies. Yes.
Is that something, like, is that something we pay for, is there like a limit, do we just have like a limit per class?
There's no limit, there's a budget, you'll have a department budget number attached to your name.
Right.
And so there is no limit, however, if you make 1 billion copies, your department chair, when they get their budget thing, and said, we spent $5,000 at the copy center, what are you doing? So, and that's the other good thing about Canvas. You can just post the assignment, post the page, and students all print their own copy. Yes?
Just a PS, so I ended up having handouts for every class,
Yeah,
and my department was fine with it.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, usually it's not an issue, but.
I have a question about
Yes.
the printing. Does the students get to print it for free or are they charged?
The students, it's free. Part of their fees for when they enroll is that they get $10 worth of printing at the printers, and each copy is 2 cents. So you do the math man.
5,000.
Okay. They get a lot of copies. Very, very rarely do they exceed it. And if they do exceed their $10 worth of 2-cent copies, they can go over and pay for more.
Is that per class?
Per quarter.
Okay.
Per quarter. Yeah, per quarter for all of their classes. Okay. And, all right, so section 6, 3 Cs.
Okay, this is a pretty short section. It's just other resources available to you. If your car won't start or you lock your keys in it, there are services on campus to help you with that, so you don't have to wait around for AAA, and it's free also. If you're in a crisis, call 911.
Yeah, so on that, I also put the campus security office number in my phone so I can quick dial. So if I'm using my car and I'm unsafe or something, I have that number on
And
not that it's a scary place.
well, but also along with that, if you're here at night, you can call the campus person and say, can you come and escort me to my car?
Not that we have a lot of danger on this campus, however, it is an open campus, and so there are people on this campus 24 hours a day for reasons we have no idea why. Because they're not in class at 2 o'clock in the morning. So the campus security will tell you there are people out here all the time. Whether they're, looking for gold with their little
metal
detectors, or they're out looking for wildlife, or they're just here being,
And I don't know if you're familiar with the Centennial Trail system, but that Centennial Trail runs right down below campus, right out there.
Behind photography.
Yeah, and it goes all the way along from the bridge out there.
Third Coeur Lane.
Yeah.
Great jogging trail, if you're interested.
Great jogging trail. So again, so those people, whether they have good intentions or bad, it's just right there. So they pop up the hill. I pop down the hill to get onto the trail.
I think more problematic potential is wildlife. You will see deer and you will see turkeys, and we have had occasional moose visitation. So they come out and around. So they'll say, everybody stay in the building when there's a moose. They don't worry so much about the turkeys, but they can be ornery.
Okay, what else did you find?
So on a more positive note, sorry I took us down a dark alley there. I'm gonna skip something, but the operations update, you can sign up for the CCS alerts.
Yes.
And get them directly to your phone when classes are delayed or canceled or.
The most frequent reason they use that CCS alerts is if they cancel school because of snow. So it's a good thing to have, to know that. before
And
you
your
get-
students should sign up for this too, I think.
Yes.
So you all have the same alerts.
Yes.
And then the last thing that I wanna talk about is the fitness center and the wellness program. So we talked about that, and I put the information here. You call this number 279-6030. This is the course number that you sign up for. And I think there are a couple options. You could sign up for the school year, quarter, or the year. I wanted to sign up for the year and it was $85, so.
And we just had these dropped off, so here, I'll just hand these out, these are from the PE department.
Oh, great, thank
If you're
you.
interested in going to work out, it is $85 a year. I go over there every day, it's kind of a deal, and it'll keep you sane.
And if you don't want to use the facilities in the building, you're certainly welcome to walk the track.
Or run the stadium stairs.
And that's without a pass,
For
right?
free.
Yeah, for free.
Yeah.
Another thing in this section is the cafeteria. I love the falls, I really do. I encourage you to pack a lunch. If you are not a fan of fried food. They do have a salad bar.
And it's a pretty good one.
And no, the salad bar is great.
Yeah.
Other stuff is a little sketchy, but.
Kind of have the corner on the market, don't they? There's nothing,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything else in the market.
No, the books,
Bananas in there, sandwiches, pre-made sandwiches.
bananas, hard-boiled eggs, apples. The bookstore does carry food
Snacks.
as well. You can get protein bars there and if you don't, otherwise, if you don't like the food at the cafeteria, you won't like the food at the bookstore either because it's, you know.
Well, the bookstore has like more vending machine kind of,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
candy bars, snacks, that sort of thing.
You can get rice bowls,
Yeah,
whatever.
cup of noodle soup.
Yeah. Anyway,
Most every building has a staff lounge that has a refrigerator and microwave and stuff, so if you want to bring your food and want to have a place to store it,
Yeah.
get out of your office. I would suspect your building has one. Maybe more, there's one on every floor in this building.
Yeah, and usually the faculty lounges always have, you know, we have coffee pots and everybody brings their creamers and puts them in the fridge and, you know.
Yeah.
And that pretty much sums it up.
good. Okay. I don't know actually what it says in the bus pass section, but if you have students that are telling you, I just can't get to campus, there's no way, my blah, 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 they get a free bus pass with their ID card. So tell them to get their heinies on the bus and get to campus.
Well, I don't think it's, I think free, sorry.
Well,
I think
part of their
free.
fee.
They've already paid for it.
They've
so I
already
would
paid
encourage them
for
to
it.
use it.
Yeah, so they should use it.
Does anyone know how much it costs for the faculty bus pass
At one point, it was like $30.
a month?
I don't know anymore.
A month or a quarter?
Huh?
Is that a month?
A month. Because it seems like it was like $1 a day.
I think for faculty, it's about maybe it went up a little bit, $1.25 a day, maybe. Yeah.
A lot of students do take the bus, so. Okay, moving on to section 7. Oh, did we do that one? Yeah, so we're with the Twix and M&M's people.
I think you might remember some of what we read an hour ago.
Yeah, well.
But we found that a lot of section 7 we've already talked about.
What'd you see in there that was new?
The yeah, go ahead, the outcomes.
One thing I saw was the Outcomes 101. There's a course offered in the winter if you're interested in learning more about using outcomes as a philosophy of teaching. So that was new. The Italic Institutional Teaching and Learning Improvement Coordinating Committee offers funding on a quarterly basis for projects or activities. So you can apply for that if you have something, I don't really, that you want to do.
Like if you want to develop something, new assessment type of a thing and you want to look into that, you can give them a proposal and they give you a little stipend.
And then page 32, the Washington State Employee Tuition Waiver. You're eligible for that if you're at least a 50% workload. And then, you wanna do the next section?
And that's where you can take a class for, what is it, $5? Does it say in there?
It doesn't say how much.
I think it's $5 or $5 a credit. If you are a Washington State employee to take another class. And again, there might be conditions like you have to wait till the third day if there's room in the class or whatever.
So for continuing on, the campus clubs and advisors, and it's an opportunity for students as well as instructors to lead up a club and advise a club of, you know, basically any type of discipline.
Right.
And competition, performance, and if you have interest, then there is a director of student-funded programs, and get in contact with them.
That's another email that you may see come across. They'll say, we're looking for an advisor for the Red Nations Club, or we're looking for an advisor for the whatever club. And so you might choose to do that if you want to.
There is a stipend involved with that.
There is a stipend involved with being an advisor.
The other thing in this section was the peer tutoring. So there's free tutoring available in the list following subjects. So it's important to make sure that students know that that's there if you're teaching one of those classes.
And that, let's see if I can get to it quickly. If you go to, it's not in student tools anymore. Okay, you guys help me, where is it?
I'd go to the search.
They might not have a schedule up right now, but usually if you go to this page, they'll have a button right here, I moved it. So this was the summer schedule, so they will say on there, so anatomy and physiology, they have Mike and Eric that were tutoring, and these are the hours that they were there. And astronomy, biology, so they give all of the philosophy, or all of the departments, and who's going to be doing it, where they're gonna be, and what times they're gonna be there. So if your students need help, you can direct them to that. There's also online tutoring available. They will get this updated usually during the first week of the quarter after they get all of the students here and find out what their schedules are and all that good stuff.
Sometimes students think that if to get a tutor means that they've been defeated and that is, you know, the beginning of the end. And so if you reframe their thinking and say that a tutor is supportive and that they can use the tutor as they need it, it might be just a rough spot right now, so you might not need it for the whole quarter, or you may need it for the whole quarter. I don't know when, it's been a couple of 3 years that I have started to see students say, well, if I get a tutor, then that means that I'm dumb and that I'm never gonna make it, and that's not the case at all. So that's the way they're thinking.
These tutors are not allowed to be peer tutors unless they have successfully completed the class. So it's not just, oh, I know anatomy and physiology. You had to take the class that they had to take 241 or 242. They had to take this, and they had, I don't know if it's 3.0 or 3.5, but they had to be 3.5. They had to get a decent grade out of it before they're allowed to tutor.
And Connie is always on the lookout for good tutors, so if you have a student in your class who you think would make a great tutor for that subject.
And they get paid pretty well. They get like $15 an hour to tutor, so make sure they are earning their money, send students to them. Okay? And that same page I went to has a link to the online tutoring opportunities as well. Okay, so I think that is all the sections. We didn't skip anybody, did we? No? All right. I want to hop back to section 3 for a second. I skipped that section, we skipped that section because we're assuming that all of those things were addressed with you through your department that hired you. So if you do though have any questions about your office, your keys, your account, your computer accounts, again, we can address after lunch. Anything else in that little list there in the table of contents or starting on page 12, 13, 14 that you have a question about that we might be able to answer? No?
In the appendix, at the end of the book, there is a place, a page or two regarding how to use the phones. It's on page 41. That's setting things up and figuring things out.
Oh, right. And you can dial in to check your messages from home. And they'll have the instructions in there. Okay, see if you want to do that. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, I just glanced down here and I saw it said to change your password. Not related to phone passwords, but your computer password. You're going to be required to change it like every 3 months. Is that right? Something like that? So they keep the CTC link password forever. I'm surprised. We've had the same one since that system popped up. Seems like that would be the one they would want you to change the most. But if you don't have, does anybody have a pattern of passwords that they'd like to share with anybody else that might keep them sane? Yeah, Ken, what do you have?
Tells you how to tell you to.
Don't tell.
But you have to use numbers and symbols and stuff. And so I just write out a number and then type the number and then add a symbol. But that way, so there'll be 2 and then there'll be 3 with a numeral 3 and then a symbol. And just keep doing it. So that way every 90 days, I just increase the number by 1. And by, I think you can't have the same password.
After 5.
After 5 times?
You have to have 5 different ones before you can go back to
So, yeah,
it.
by the time you get to 10, you can roll back around. And then I have a word, because I think it has to be at least 8 characters. But a number written, the numeral, a word, and an exclamation point or something, any symbol.
Yeah.
But just, it always happens at an inconvenient time that it says, oh, your password's gonna expire in 5 days, and I would say never change your password on a Friday, because then when you come back to work on Monday, I'm like, oh darn, what do I do? So I always change it midweek, just so I have a couple days of using it, and keep it simple. I mean, yeah, don't try to outthink it.
I know you wouldn't just, why do they have markers? I know you wouldn't use the word password, but oftentimes, we have to have a capital as well, right?
Yep.
So say you were using password, another thing you can do is, so in my mind, 2 S's need to be changed. You can do, I do 1, and then I do shift 1, and then 1, 1. And I do the same thing as Ken. Next time I have to change it, I'll do 2, shift 2, 2, 2. 3, shift 3, 3, 3. So pick a word, like Ken was saying, and then change whatever thing you're gonna remember in there and just work your way up the alphabet. And then you get your symbol and your number, your capital, and that makes it an easy way to remember it. You can't get too far off if you do forget because it's only changing by the number and the symbol. Okay, anybody else have a trick they use without divulging your innermost secrets? Okay.
I write it down so I don't forget.
Well, you have to. By the time you work with publishers, and I don't know, maybe being in the business technology area, we interact with a lot of different software. They all have different requirements, so yeah, I keep a sheet.
Has anyone tried using the LastPass app with
No.
this stuff? That's a cool app where you set one master password And then within that app, you assign specific passwords to specific sites or things that you use it for. Then you can change it there, but you don't have to remember it every time because you're using a master password for everything. I don't know if it works with this system. I was curious if anybody tried it.
I haven't.
LastPass?
I don't think it would work for network.
Okay.
System. For like in Canvas and CC link it work.
Okay.
Give it a whirl and let us know.
Okay, so unless there are any other questions about, and so keep this handy, contact us if you have questions about it. The next section of the orientation is doing a little tour. So if you want to, you're pretty new to campus, or even if you've been here, probably for 18 of the years that I first taught here, I was adjunct, and because I was raising my kids, and I came to my building and I left my building and I came to my building and I left my building. And so I didn't go out and explore the world. So I would encourage you to do more than I did when I was starting. So yeah, we'll be going on a little tour. If you don't want to do the tour, if you already feel pretty familiar, we'll be meeting over at the cafeteria for lunch at noon. Okay, so that's building 17. You can look on your map if you need to know where that is. Yes,
We have
Ken?
a bonus treat for them.
A bonus treat?
Yes.
What's that?
Go to the aquarium. Yes.
Oh.
That would be the planetarium.
Oh, yeah.
There you go,
That's
planetarium.
right.
I'm
Oh,
told.
Dr. Feldman's here just in
I'm
time.
not too old to do that. It's perfect time. Yeah, we're about to take a break and go on the planetarium.
So Dr. Feldman's going to say just a couple little words before we head out.
Everybody, my name's Andrew, your Vice President of Learning or Academic Affairs or it's called instruction in some places. Been inundated with meetings today as I've had the experience and it struck me, I heard somebody giving a little talk the other day, they're gonna keep it short, so I'm gonna keep it short and actually stick to that. Welcome to Spokane Falls. I hope to get to meet each and every one of you, hi John, and on a more personal level, other than just a brief welcome this morning. But here we go, we're getting ready. You're in the hands of some fantastic people to get you into our new faculty orientation and all the things that go on around here. And we'll make the time to come around and have a chat with you guys individually. Welcome and glad you're here. So starts next Wednesday. We will see you all at convocation in our fall convening on Monday. So again, welcome. And that's it. I'll keep it short.
Thank you.
Okay, Tom.
All right, we'll see you around.
You did.